Okay, so we're going to do questions. From your side, the questions have to be 1 minute, and we're going to cut off the mic and turn off the lights if you exceed that. I'm going to ask our candidates to try to keep the answers within 45 seconds, and I'm going to ask, if you're asking a question, don't ask a question to every single person who's come out tonight. Focus it in on an individual or on a group of people, regional directors, VP communications, etc.
It would help if you have chairs for the other candidates, the presidential candidates.
It would probably help to have chairs for the other candidates as well, if you have them, just so you don't have to walk in the back. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Benita, for helping us to arrange chairs an hour into the session that we did arrange before. Okay, so first question from the mic. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Dennis Modry. Congratulations to each of you for putting yourself up for these various positions. So whoever has the courage to answer this question, here it is. And we'll see who has the courage. It's a simple answer. Now, given the probability of a referendum on sovereignty in 2026 and an election in 2027, what is more important to you, winning the referendum or winning the election?
Okay, so who's that directed to? Regional?
Whoever has the courage to answer it.
Whoever has the courage to answer it. Whoever hooked his hand up first. Oh, you stood up first. Okay, we're going to let you do it first.
So what's more important, the referendum or the election? I think that they're both equally important. I do personally believe that Alberta would succeed on its own, but this is not about my personal belief. It's up to Albertans to decide. If they chose separation, then yes, I believe Alberta should go forward with that. And if they chose not to, the majority because they chose not to, then we should respect that as well.
Go ahead, Ellen.
So I agree with Pamela. I do think that they are equally important. My understanding is there is a potential referendum in the spring which will address this question. That referendum would determine the direction of Alberta, and I will respect the outcome as it represents the will of Albertans. I don't think the party needs to take a stance on that issue until after the referendum. It is an extremely sensitive issue, and it really gets to the heart of our identity as Canadians and as Albertans. I can appreciate both sides of the debate, but I do see that Albertans have had enough of being treated like an oppressed colony. I believe our constitution likely needs to be amended, and in the interest of national unity. It's time to demand a better deal, and I am open to listening to ideas on how best to achieve that. Thanks.
I'm going to let one person who puts their hand up first. Oh, you did it first, okay. And then I'm going to invite everybody, we're going to get a survey of everybody in the front. I'm going to give you at least a chance to answer the yes-no question to a certain extent, so everybody will have their opinion heard on that stuff. So go ahead, let's have you up.
Awesome. Well, I think it's a very interesting question, and I think Canada hasn't done a great job of giving us any reason to want to stay with them. But I think my role as the board is to win the next election. And so it's up to Albertans to decide what we want to do with the referendum. But as a board member, I want to make sure that we win that next election, because if Albertans do choose that they want to separate, who wants an NDP government with that on the horizon? So I think we need to make sure that we have a UCP government, whether that happens or not.
Thank you. So as a last step, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the question to everybody up here. You can put your hand up to say which one you think is the one you favor. So if you think it's more important to win the election, put your hand up. Okay, there you go. If you think it's more important to support the referendum, put your hand up. If you think both, all right, okay. Wishy-washy, fair enough. All right, so for the follow-up questions, I'll invite you to come up and speak again. Just to reiterate, we're going to try to do this a little more efficiently. Direct your question, please, to a single group of board members. We all knew that we were going to ask the referendum question. I think we've gotten that out of our system, so ask it to one group, please, so we can keep things efficient. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Shane Winkle, and my question is for Rob. I'd like you to address the mudslinging that's already started from your competitors' camp. It's full of lies and the like. I actually think it borders on their conduct, and I actually will be putting it forward to Dustin on that basis. But I'd like to have your take on that mudslinging.
Good question, Shane. Daryl Comic, who's running for president, is my friend. I don't believe that Daryl would knowingly say something about me or about any of us that was false. So I'm certainly not going to say anything critical about Daryl. I think that he is an important freedom fighter in this province. I think he's an important conservative in this province, and I think he represents an important sect and voice within our party. If he's got some campaign people that have said a few things, maybe he can have a talk with him, but I will never respond to it. I have nothing negative to say about Daryl Comic.
Thank you very much. Let's go with the next question. And I see a large lineup kind of forming there, so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to make it even harder on you. If you could keep your questions to 30 seconds. And that's a big challenge, I know. I love to hear the sound of my own voice. I'm doing it right now. 30 seconds, please. Go ahead and ask your question.
You cut my question into half. My name is Ahmed Ali. I am the ex-president of the Edmonton City Centre, and I ran Edmonton Public School Board for the last election. I hear a lot of questions when I was door knocking. Thank you very much for standing up and trying to become part of this administration and to run for Alberta UCP provincial, board. My question is to Rockford, a man that I work with him. I know his strength, how he is a successful leader, and then I'm very proud of him that he came back for an election. For one reason I wanted to ask you, Rob, is we have less than 2 years for election. I know your capability and how you can form and how you build it for our constituents in that time. How please, let me finish. How please you can bring a policy, a winning policy for this election? That's my question.
So I think actually, what a great selection for Edmonton director you Edmonton folks have. Like those 4 candidates, I love listening to what they had to say, and I think all of them are on the right track. One of the things that Ranjit and other folks who have been candidates in the past talked about 2 years ago is we got to get our candidates early, and I know that folks like Bobby and Ranjit as our Edmonton directors, it's been driving them crazy that we've had to wait on the Boundary Commission. We will have those Edmonton candidates in place by the end of June next year. We will have that legislation that passes in the spring session, and the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to fill all those Edmonton orphan ridings, as well as the ones in the other parts of the province. So the places like Riverbend and everywhere else are going to have those folks on the ground and spending about a year and a half ingraining themselves in the local community, where we know the NDP do beat us in that ground game. Abby talked about immersing in the local culture. That is the way that we win, by having our candidates as quickly as we can and immersing in their local community cultures.
Thank you very much. To you, sir. 30 seconds. I know we've just set the standard that we're going to allow it for longer, but seriously, ignore the preamble, straight to the question. Thank you.
Well, just very briefly, thank you, candidates, for putting your names forward. My name is Miles Berry. I'm president of Edmonton Gold Bar and a past candidate. I've been listening carefully, trying to hear specifically Edmonton's strategies. I'm starting to hear some detail now, and that's great. But I'm wondering, perhaps to the Edmonton candidates, what have you identified as specifically Edmonton culture and strategy that you want to work on here over the next little while? Because a lot of presidents have talked about specifically an Edmonton strategy.
Well done. All right, we're going to start actually with Mr. Mallet, and we're going to go that way.
You know, it's an interesting question because Edmonton is not Calgary, which seems obvious, but it's not. It's not Red Deer. And I think what we found here when we lost the last election, we've lost some numerous elections and don't seem to be able to get our message out there, where our message isn't really resonating with enough Edmontonians to win. I think our message in some way is sort of a compassionate message. At the same time strong about liberty and about strength and freedom. But I think sometimes we miss the compassion. And I think in Edmonton, if we're going to try and draw some of the votes from the left, where it's healthcare and it's education and it's the university and it's those groups, we need to have a message that fits and resonates with them in some way, and also resonates with our base in terms of strength and freedom and liberty and oil and gas and all those things that are so important to us and so much the lifeblood of what we do. So I think we need to tweak our message a little bit.
Thanks very much. I'll ask Jaspreet to come up and give the second answer.
So, thank you so much for the question. As Rob said, all nominations before June. That's a very good idea. Because the last election in 2023, like 10 to 15 nominations were just a month left before the election. So we were kind of, very held up in that. So we need the buddy MLAs and minister to start the canvassing for us beforehand. That way, we can motivate our grassroots volunteers. So that's two things. We have to start early, and we need all those support from buddy MLAs, ministers, and even premier as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. I'll ask Andre to come up now again.
Hey guys, sorry. So having knocked thousands of doors in Edmonton, and being a conservative myself, one of the things that we need to focus on is, I think, more of the fiscal and monetary restraint and accountability when we're knocking in Edmonton. Those voters tend to be more concerned with their property taxes and their income taxes and their money being efficiently and effectively spent, rather than the more social issues that may be more, get folks a little bit more involved outside of Edmonton. It's a very different riding, and it is challenging right now as a UCP party knocking doors in Edmonton. So we need to refine that message for Edmonton and kind of hammer away our fiscal responsibility and fiscal effectiveness and accountability of our leadership and our what we're doing with folks' money, essentially. Thank you.
Please have a go. Come on down.
Okay, well, there's certainly messaging that we can apply and look at, but I think we really need to implement actual actions that we're going to do and look at what's unique to Edmonton. And so I think one thing is we have so many events going on and festivals and concerts, and we see a very strong NUP presence at those. But where's the UCP presence? And so I'd really like to see us increase our presence at those events, have booths, have people to talk to. And another thing is that there's a lot of universities, and me being a youth, those are people I want to go after. The youth can be alive and do so much, and we have a lot of energy. And so I think if we can go into those universities, the U of A is the only campus in all of Edmonton that has a conservative club. I want to see every university have a conservative club. And if I think we can do that and we get the youth engaged, that'll be so important for Edmonton.
Thank you everyone for your answers. Go ahead, sir.
I
My question is for the candidates here for the Edmonton area. We lost to the left because of communication. We lost left because essentially, if you look at what the Conservatives were doing, they were only talking to 2 podcasters in the whole universe. So my question for you is, are you going to ask to improve the communications with other alternative media or competitors to open the market and to relay the message more effectively than just the UCP website? Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go with Andre first.
So with respect to communication strategy in Edmonton, what I would very much like to see, the left does very well at this, with kind of breaking down what the leaders are saying and analyzing that and providing commentary on it. We don't really have something like this for us. Danielle gets destroyed in the press. We don't really get much coverage from her perspective and her side of things. I would love to see a method whereby we are putting our side of things out there, our side of the story out there, and disseminating it to a lot of people, because we are not getting the coverage. We're not getting the kind of message passed around the way that we need to. So that's something that I would very much like to see, the way we have a lot of local podcasters and local commentators in municipal and provincial and federal politics commenting on that side. We need to put our spin on things and develop that in a much more friendly and consumable way, I believe. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm going to toss it up and say Richard Mallett next.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, communication is key for sure. Nobody's reading the paper anymore, in case anybody hasn't noticed. So I certainly see that. And those voters are sort of that 35 and under, 30 and under. They're online. It's the podcast. It's whatever they can do online. It's nothing to do with traditional media or traditional communication. So we need to be there in that kind of an element, in that kind of an environment, and be comfortable there. I think we do need to engage with those on the other side of the aisle and try and develop those relationships, be it with media or just individual people. I like the idea of going out to the events. It's a great idea. I think we are missing out on our youth. I know my son, for example, at the university did not feel free to speak. As a conservative, you don't feel free to speak in class, you don't feel free to speak on the campus. There's been some developments in the world lately that I think are going to change that, and I think that's changing. And so I think we definitely need to look at new ways of reaching out to people and do that grassroots groundwork right away.
Thank you. We'll go to Abigail next.
Yeah, well, I think it's very important to have these sources that people can have and these different resources, but we have to make it easy for people to have. We have to give it to them, because what's going to convince a mom with 3 kids who's busy and hardly has any time to go out on her own and search for all these resources? Or for a college student who's juggling exams, they're not going to want to spend all their time researching, well, what's this side say? Well, what's this side say? And look at it. We need to make that so that it's in their face, so that when they open up their social media, that's the first thing they're seeing. Because if they can have that access right there, then that's how we get the people to consume what we have out there. Because there are fantastic people who are putting out fantastic content, but we need to figure out a strategy in order to get that in front of people.
You're up.
So I'm going to tell you one instance. In last election regarding this, my daughter opened YouTube and straightway the NDP shows up. So she was asking me, what is that? Why David Smith is speaking live? They start propaganda. They invest so much in that thing, the social media thing. So we must have those type of people, not spreading the wrong data, but yes, we need podcasters, we need social media influencers to spread our information, what kind of what we are doing on the government side. Let's talk about Southwest Hospital. So they spread very wrong information on that. So we need, yes, we need podcasters, we need social media influencers to deliver our message. Yep.
Thank you. So we're going to let you ask a couple more questions. I want to wrap things up with the last question at 8:30 to give our candidates a chance to have a closing remark. So bear that in mind as you ask your questions. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My name is Adam Rahal, and I'd like to address my question to Darby. So, first off, thank you very much for going against Nenshi. I know that was a very, very uphill battle. You spoke a little about taking that experience from that campaign and applying it to your new role. What I would like to ask, or my question is, what other experience do you think would be relevant that would set you apart from your candidate? What makes a prospective voter like me want to vote for you specifically? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I feel like I'm in 4-H and just waiting for that impromptu question to come up, so thank you. Many of you don't know, because I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but for 4 years I was involved in rodeo broadcasting. So I always like to joke with the Premier that I've traveled just as much of Alberta as her, because I was at every single rodeo you would think of in this province. So I have a lot of connections and such a large community of supporters in the conservative goals in mind as well, that I can have those connections and bring it forward into this. I also was the director of communications for the Sundre Pro Rodeo and helped on their fundraising and sponsorship as well. So just that's at my rural side as brought into my city side as well. So I believe that those things, and being a press secretary for the Minister of Agriculture until a month ago, then so yeah, those few things. Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Janice Fleming, president of Edmonton Highlands Norwood. I'd like to ask all of you, how will you collaborate and outreach to students, schools, parents, healthcare workers, teachers, law enforcement officials, and to our citizens in Alberta? We have such a hot NDP right now taking advantage of this politicizing with the teachers. And I was in my local coffee shop listening to 3 young people. People are so indoctrinated. We need to communicate. I want to know how you're going to achieve that goal.
I'm going to ask the Edmonton Region Directors again to stand up and answer that question. So let's start with Abigail.
Well, what I think it really comes down to is that everyone are people. And we like to put labels on everyone and put them in different categories, but we just need to bring it back to that everyone's just living this life, that this is everyone's first try at it. And I think in a lot of things, there's a lot of agreement that we can find, but it's the disagreements that we talk about. And so I think just having genuine conversations with someone, and I might disagree with them very strongly on 60% of their views, but it's finding the 40% that we do agree on and having a conversation about that and finding what we can do to make things better and what we can, that is already great. And so I think finding that agreement is so important, and just remembering that everyone is just a human.